Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to episode 7 of Our Texas Organic Garden. This is for summer 2017. Last time I saw you was in May, and lots has happened since then. This summer has been just as hot as usual, but a lot more rain, and so a little more humid. So that's been really good on some plants. Some plants have thrived very well, and other ones have done worse. So we'll give you a tour, but I think overall you'll see that things have improved quite a lot here for summer vegetable gardening. First, I'd like to show you this area here. We have the peppers that have really done well this year. I've been very surprised how they've kept green. They haven't gotten yellow leaves at all. We have this kung pao pepper. Look at all these. We've already gotten maybe 60 or 70 of these, maybe even up to 100. And these are 10 times hotter than a jalapeno. And behind them are the small Mexican variety that people use in hot sauces, and they're called a piquin. Here's some that I have already picked. Behind that is, there's a pot here that I tried to plant burdock seeds, but they didn't catch, so I put a tomatillo plant there, and it's similar to a tomato. It has a plant, a fruit that looks green, and you can make a green salsa from it. Behind me is finally the finished Goya wall that I've been showing the last couple of times, the bitter melon wall. Japanese use that also in landscaping and in their summer garden to keep things cool. And it's also been keeping this part of the garden cool in the afternoon sun. A couple of beds are starting to be fallow. I took everything out, and we're been fertilizing them and getting them ready for fall gardening. And if you follow me over here, you'll see we used to have potatoes in this bed, and now we have these volunteer plants. This was some of the Cambodian Hmong cucumber, along with the tomato, another tomato, and 2 peppers that were volunteer here. I decided to leave them, and they're growing quite well. Behind me is the bed that we've had for more than a year of these collard greens and broccoli that we grew from our own seed. And they're still thriving, I think, because this Hmong cucumber wall here has been keeping them out from so much direct sun. Here's another cucumber wall. We also have some butternut squash mixed in. Here's one example. And when they turn brown on the outside, that means this variety is ready to eat. And usually we don't eat the skin on these. And I'll come over here and show you a couple of things. This is the Okinawan spinach, and we have some behind the cucumber here that hasn't tolerated the heat so well this year. But before that happened, I did some cutting. It's very difficult to find seeds for these, and actually it's recommended to propagate them. And then we got these plants at the JRN nursery, Vietnamese nursery in North Houston off of Antoine. And so what we did here is cut them, put them in the water for about 6 weeks, and now we're ready to plant them. We'll plant them in a pot, I think, in a side of the house that has a little more shade. Another thing that's needed for the summer is to keep the ground cool. And so we've had a very nice compost mixture this year. The compost has been quite well. What we did this year that we haven't done in other years is add the green grass clippings immediately when they're green. We don't let them dry out. And then I've read that that green increases the nitrogen and burns at a higher temperature inside the compost bin. And this is our food scraps, tea bags, eggshells, and such. And after just 3 or 4 weeks, look, it's really nice blackish compost, and very happy with that. As you go on, you'll see some plants from our garden from the past here. Sorrel is thriving in the summer, not like the cold weather, but still it's doing fine. We We still have kale from 3 years ago and some of this collard green. What hasn't done well this year are the Swiss chard. I think maybe too much water, too much rain this year for them. We've been trying to keep these tomatoes going. They have a lot of new growth on them, and the ones here and behind, and I hope by the fall we'll have a lot more fall tomatoes. This time of year it's too hot for them. If you come over here, you'll see this Japanese basil. It's also called shiso. It's going crazy. We've had it here for 3 years. It always reseeds. It's never been this tall. It's never been this lush. I think the extra rain this year has benefited them. And behind them are the okra. You can see the okra from the last video. I had planted them. They've grown a few more feet, and we've been getting quite a few okra from them. Here is the orange tree, the Satsuma orange I got from a friend of mine. It died back in the winter, but you see it's starting to come back quite tall. We're very happy about that. And if you come over here, you can see all the walls we have here, keeping things cooler in the summer. Here you see this side of the bitter melon or Goya wall. And this has been very successful this year. We've had about 40 or 50 of these so far, a lot of them even bigger than this. And I think they really like the hot and humid summer with extra rainfall. One other thing I'd like to mention over here are the eggplants. We've gotten a few of them here, but not as many as we'd expected, but I hope we're starting to see a lot more buds on them that look like are going to turn into fruit, and looks like we'll have quite a few eggplants soon. And you can look here and see how thick and tall everything is that survived the summer. Our rosemary bush is still going amazingly strong. One last thing to show you over here. I planted these crispy melons, and I showed you them when they were starters, planted them from seed, but so far no crispy melon. I don't know what's happened, but at the same time you see quite a few flowers, and I've been trying to pollinate them with a Q-tip. One thing you can do, since there seems to be fewer and fewer bees around, you can take a Q-tip and you can move from flower to flower, hold them gently, and move the pollen around. That's had some good results in other plants in our garden, but so far nothing here. What you can see though is that I put out some of the compost that's from our compost bin, and I hope that a combination of this and some of the organic fertilizer is going to help them produce. And behind us is actually the compost bin, and so we have it filled up about this far, and so I think we'll add more to it in another couple of days. We keep turning it every few days, and it's been very good for us so far. And finally, just to show, we have you see the moonflowers and sweet potato vines have really taken off and grown up this crepe myrtle. And at night, the moonflowers are blooming up at the top of the tree. We have these peppers that have been here for over 1 year. They survived the frost because I covered them, and they're also starting to come back. So peppers seem to be really producing this summer. Usually they don't do as well just in spring and fall. So that's all for this time, and I hope that we see you again in the fall, maybe in September, October, and things will be very different, I hope, then as well. So here's to happy gardening.